I still don't know how to start these things.
The perfect start.
No. We need to come up with something. I guess just welcome to the episode of Templar Talks, right?
Yeah.
Let's just keep it rolling. There we go. That's the end. Yeah. That works.
Yeah.
Welcome
Hello.
to the episode of this episode, not the episode.
This one.
Yeah, this one specifically. Once again, not brought to you from Athena Games,
No.
but in fact brought to you from Alex's sofa.
My sofa.
Alex's casting couch. We're still working out a better setup at Athena, so it's a little more cozy.
Yeah.
I feel this kind of setup in general. I think it worked well with the Rocco episode, just in terms of it was a bit more laid back.
Yeah.
So I think not being at a table and kind of stressing out
for sure.
kind of helps a little.
Hopefully there's a little egg in this one.
Yeah, a little bit less leg, but still. I need to just stop wearing shorts. It's got to that time of year where I really shouldn't be wearing shorts, but it's just a habit.
Yeah, we've gone past it now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think it's like when I grew up, I literally wore shorts and t-shirt, like snow. I would walk to school in shorts and t-shirt in the snow, and it's just become kind of programmed that my legs just don't get cold. As I've got older, I have become more like, I like a coat, I like to be cozy, but my legs are still just like, don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't feel legs get that cold. I think that's a myth. Maybe, in the UK at least, I genuinely think, total tangent, but I genuinely think in the UK you could get away with wearing shorts year round. And I don't think you'd have any like health implications like frostbite or anything.
I reckon you can get away with it.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with it. But anyway, we're here to actually talk about Magic the Gathering today. We've created a list, so we've done the baseline thing, that we should have already done for every episode, but we haven't. But we have today.
It's taken us what, 7, 8 episodes?
7 or 8, yeah. There'll probably still be something wrong with the episode, like the audio won't work, or maybe the video's not even recording right now.
Yeah. My cat will come and knock the tripod over.
Yeah, that could work as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're pretty much gonna cover a couple of topics today. We want to talk about Unfinity, Universes Beyond, all the fuckery around that. I guess that gives a hint to my stance.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. And then just events in general. Obviously, we experienced Axion's recent events, which I will say were absolutely fantastically run.
Yeah, amazingly run.
And just kind of how the effect of how events will come back following the pandemic, and equally how events will come back. Because obviously, because of when Brexit happened, and then the pandemic followed immediately after, we haven't seen events in the UK post-Brexit either. So it's kind of like how will events shape up going forward into 2023, 2024, how will things look, and so on. But to kick off the hot topic, I guess, Unfinity. I don't even really know where to start with this one.
We'll give some background.
Yes.
So Unfinity is the 4th or 5th unset.
I believe it's the 3rd or 4th.
I think it's
Unhinged, Unglued.
Unhinged, Unglued, Unstable, Unlimited, Unfinity. Unlimited was a bit of a weird one.
Oh, Unlimited was the board game, right?
Unlimited was the box.
I thought Unstable was the 3 plus the box.
Yeah. So this is the
Fourth proper one.
4th proper set of silver bordered cards
that aren't silver bordered.
that are no longer silver bordered. So the silver bordered cards is basically it's a joke set that Wizards produce so that they can try out some weird things, experiment with different mechanics. That's where dice rolling initially came into the game.
I'd imagine a lot of it as well is potentially concept cards, right? That they decided not to print for good reason, usually, because there's a lot of silly things going on in the unsets.
Or even in some cases giving reason to, in the case of the last one, Unstable, Steamflogger Boss, which was a card they printed in Future Sight, which interacted with contraptions that functionally didn't work. So they created contraptions and put that into Unstable to make that work, which was really neat.
Yeah.
But they've done something a bit weirder with Unfinity, in that they have made the entire set black border.
Yep.
and some of the cards are going to be exactly the same as the other unset cards, so they're not going to be legal in any format, anywhere. And some of the cards are legal in Commander and Legacy.
And Vintage?
And Vintage. Everything older than, basically everything older than Modern, and Pauper.
Are they legal in Pauper?
Everything's legal in Pauper.
Nice, nice. So I believe the differentiator, words are hard today, is the ones that aren't legal have an acorn?
Yes.
So like the silver rare. So hang on, all the ones that aren't legal then, are they rares or above, or is that like just a stamp they've...
No, so everything that isn't going to be legal has the acorn hologram at the bottom.
I am right in thinking though in a normal set nothing has a hologram, right? Unless it's a rare or high.
Rares and high have holograms,
Okay.
but in this set they've made the exception for commons and uncommons have holograms if they're not going to be legal.
Do we have the quote-unquote MSRP for Infinity yet?
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
It'll be interesting to see if it's higher based on the fact that, realistically, right, if we're being, pure logic, it should be higher because surely that is an additional manufacturing cost.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they swallow that compared to some of their other... I know it's like it's irrelevant. It's cardboard we're paying hundreds of pounds for, but still. It'll be interesting if they factor that in, for sure. But yeah, it's... I don't know. I think unsets are really, really cool. I've never got to draft one properly. I bought the... What's the box set called again? Unsanctioned?
Unsanctioned? Yeah, Unsanctioned.
Is it Unsanctioned?
I think.
I've played that a bit with my wife, and it was really fun. But I've never actually drafted an unset. However, I have played unset cards in Commander, and I think my whole... it's a bit of a... I guess I'm probably going to ruffle feathers, because I know there's been a lot of conversations going on within the local Magic community about it.
Yep.
But my opinion is that as long as you're upfront about it, I really couldn't care less if you have unset cards in your Commander deck. And I think people should be... Again, it's like the whole power level situation and how you build your decks. The problem is not with the unset cards, it is the person piloting the deck with the unset cards.
Absolutely.
In terms of, you can play non-unset cards and play, just because I own the deck and I wouldn't play against beginners, you could play something like Urza with no unset cards and make everyone hate their game because you can play like a total degenerate.
Yeah, and but equally you can play unset cards and make everyone and the game can be just the best game of Commander you've ever played. Like it depends entirely on the unset card. I've played a game of Uncommander. I've played games of Uncommander that have been great, and I've played games of Uncommander that someone's used a card called X. X puts itself into someone else's hands and disrupts all their spells, and is really miserable to play a game of Commander with. It's probably one of the worst games of Commander I've ever played.
See that's so the main experience I have. So I've seen like a few unset cards from time to time. I believe who was it that had the deck? It's the one that makes you play Truth or Dare, basically.
Oh yeah, that's Joe's
deck. I can't remember the commander.
It's an elephant. At the beginning of your upkeep, you ask a question, and they have to answer truthfully, and they have to abide by that answer. So you do stuff like, do you have any counter spells in your hand? Or are you going to counter over my spells? Or are you going to kill any of my creatures? And if they say no, they're not allowed to do it.
Yeah. I like that. It has a really funny name. I'm trying to think of what the name is.
Yeah,
it's really stupid to say. But I can't remember. But then I've also played with decks that just have like one or two in. Yeah. And my favourite one, a friend of mine, he used to actually play a lot with the Templar, Luke, Nightblade, of all people, has a Urza deck, like Lord.
Five colour Urza,
where you have to look up what it does. And actually, during our Halloween stream, was it last year? Last year or 2020, we did a Halloween stream where we played. He played that deck, and he managed to resolve Enter the Dungeon. So we had to play a sub-game of Magic under the table on stream, which was pretty funny. And I think that's the thing, like, those kind of cards are stupid. And like you have to hold, you can only use one hand to play. Yeah. I think those cards are really funny. I love them. They're dumb. they make Commander more of what Commander should be, in my opinion, in terms of a party kind of
'cause
fun environment. It's more like a party game than a sweaty game of Magic, as we would say.
Because Commander's as close to Magic comes to being a board game, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's the most casual format for a reason.
Which I think was a cool idea of how they did Unsanctioned, because it literally was Magic
The
in a
board game.
box.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they had the right idea with the going down that route. I think draft is fine too. I don't, but the being legal in eternal formats, I think is wrong, purely because of Legacy and Vintage and Pauper.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel that unset cards. Oh, should they be legal in Commander in general? I would lean towards yes, but I would lean towards yes dependent on who you're playing with.
Yeah.
So I guess it's no.
Yeah, so it has to be no for that reason.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole... We've done an entire podcast talking about Rule Zero already.
Yeah,
I think it was
yeah,
like the first one we did or something.
Yeah, but I think with that said then, like, they should genuinely consider banning cards like Winter Orb, Stasis, Static Orb.
Potentially.
In Commander, because they're cards that aren't fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, going back to like normal Commander with like the Urza deck, blue Urza situation. You can play that deck and just beat down with constructs. I could play the exact same deck and play it so no one has a nice time, or just play it so have fun. You could literally do it so you just have your orbs. If you need them to pump a construct, you just have them tapped all the time, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's ways to not be that guy, rather than being that guy. And I think that's more the issue with unset cards in Commander, as you say. If some people can misuse it, then it should be a no. But then equally, there's probably more cards that should be banned if we're basing it on that. But then I guess you can't have two ban lists of like the reasonable ban list, the ban list if you don't like fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's reasonable for them to come out with a CEDH ban list and a regular ban list. So like stuff like obviously we've established that Primeval Titan's too good for Commander, but it would probably be reasonable for CEDH Commander.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think it'd even see play.
That. Well, yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
But it's far too good for proper Commander.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be reasonable to do.
Yeah, for sure. But then I guess there's the whole what's Commander, what's CDH. Like there's that whole other discussion of kind of. But I guess you already have it with.
It would be two formats, right? And that would fix a lot of the Rule Zero problems.
Yeah. Because I don't know. There's still fringe cards like Dockside and Foracle. Like, they're not really problems, but they can be problems. You could probably break Commander even if there was a separate ban list to CDH if you really went out of your way to do it.
You definitely could, but like, Dockside's fine in regular Commander. It's just the other cards that go along with Dockside.
Yeah, for sure.
And you could have like some of the more broken commanders, like Urza, potentially. They just ban in proper Commander, and you could play them in Thing. Or potentially talking about unbans, Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, Grizzlebrand's.
Grizzlebrand's way too good for like Commander, but probably fine for CDH. Because like, is it that much better than what's the Phyrexian mana guy called?
Kirik.
Yeah, Crick. Like, is Grizzlebrand better than Crick as a CDH commander? Probably, maybe, but
I guess the two combined would be problematic.
The two combined would be problematic for sure.
That's more the issue, though, I guess, because you'd probably run Crick as the commander,
and then just
tutor up Grizzlebrand, and then.
Yeah,
but you've
got Yorkmoth's bargain to do that anyway. Right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's very true, and that's a cheaper way of doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that. I think to cut the whole discussion on Commander, because we talk about it way too often. The issue and why, quite frankly, I've stopped playing less Commander now is it isn't down to what's in the deck; it's how the deck is played.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can have a totally different. Like one good example before we move on is. Before I powered down my Yarok deck to make it a bit more friendly, I used to play it and people used to bring out their super strong decks against it and hate it. I lent it to a friend and they had like a really fun 6 out of 10 game. And it was the exact same deck. It's just how you play it, like, entirely. And I've learned that, you can play a deck differently. Like, so I've tried to build that deck in question now so that I can play it like a bit of a dick, or I can be friendly with it and just base it on what I'm playing against and who I'm playing against. But with Infinity, what do we think is gonna? Do we think it's gonna impact Legacy Commander?
So I think probably there's a couple of cards that stand out, and I'm going to go over a couple of cards that probably will see play in those formats, and a couple of cards that I'm disappointed that they haven't made.
Okay.
Commander exclusive ones, or legal in those formats.
In them, yeah.
Have you got up Space Bellerin as the first one?
I have. So I only have two. I again, as always, I'm very much a non-spoiler guy, so I just don't really look at sets before they come out, unless it's a reprint master set because I'm only buying it for value. So I've got Space Bellerin and Comet up. Space Bellerin is one I've actually looked at prior to this. I've read about. I think it's stupid. The dog I haven't read about yet, but Space Bellerin I think is just, I don't know, the whole sectors thing.
Yeah,
is weird.
It adds a lot of complexity to a game.
So for those at home, I hate saying stuff like that. I feel so cringe.
Those at home.
We'll try and put up a picture of the card if I'm not lazy. But what the card does is it's a legendary Planeswalker Jace. It's 2 white blue, and then it starts on 3 loyalty, +1. Creatures in each sector can be blocked this turn only by creatures in the same sector. -1, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature in the sector of your choice. -5, destroy all creatures in the sector of your choice. Now, I understand that did not make any sense because sectors aren't a thing in Magic. However, it also says Space Sculptor. Space Bellerin decides the battlefield into alpha, beta, and gamma sectors. If a creature isn't assigned to a sector, its controller assigns it to one. Opponents assign first. Stupid. but in Commander, fun.
Fun in Commander.
Commander, this is cool.
So I think this is the perfect example of a card that they've done well for making it legal in Eternal formats, because it's in Commander, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it does a silly thing, and that's what you want Commander to do. Like, it accidentally pumps your opponent's creatures.
Yeah.
Like the -5 might wipe out some of yours if they choose to put their bomb in the same sector as your bomb, but not playable in Legacy.
I think this is my issue, that I think they almost need to break up quote-unquote Eternal formats at this point, and it needs to be Commander 1v1 formats, because I'm not a Legacy player. I know we're talking about, like, okay, there's pauper and vintage players out there, hello, you exist, but really we're talking about Legacy. It's play in Legacy, right? Yeah. Legacy is the biggest of those 3 formats, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't really play Legacy. I dabble very, very lightly, but I watch a lot of Legacy content, and the influx of Commander-specific cards, like from Commander Legends, from all of these sets where cards are Eternal legal, that not necessarily ruin the format, but could potentially ruin the format, is just stupid, because it's a totally different design choice. Unset, I think, is a much more similar design scope to Commander, and it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be silly. Legacy is not fun or silly. No. It's not you don't sit there to have fun with 3 friends, you sit there to beat your opponent, right? It's exactly like Modern,
for sure,
or Standard. So I don't get it. I really don't get it.
And we've seen that kind of be a problem since the dawn of time. Like, cards from these different expansions that were meant to be only draft sets, like Conspiracy or Commander things, that have come into the format and messed it up. Like, I can't remember the Merfolk's name, the 3-1 that has protection from a player.
True Name Nemesis.
True Name Nemesis, that's from a Commander set.
And
the best answer to True Name Nemesis, Council's Judgment, was from Conspiracy.
But True Name Nemesis is still played in, like, every meta Legacy deck that would you non-combo deck that runs blue. Merfolk run it, obviously, but also Delver runs it, because it's just
because it's very good.
Yeah,
but it's designed. It wasn't initially. I don't think True Name was designed for Legacy.
No,
I think it was purely an accident that it ended up being in Legacy, and we've seen it most recently as well with Minsk and Boo.
Yep.
The Conspiracy Planeswalker is just a powerhouse in mid-range legacy decks.
Yep.
Like, because all the mid-range legacy decks are 4-color, because why on earth wouldn't you play 4-color?
Yep.
And they don't play, I guess they're 4-color, not black, right? Because that's
Typically,
the color
yeah.
that's the color you drop. And it's just value every single turn, which is where I think we will see Comet.
Comet. Okay. So Space Bella in kind of conclusion though.
Oh yeah,
Great for Commander, terrible for Legacy.
perfect for Commander, probably not playable in Legacy.
Yeah, I not even like not playable in Legacy. Stupid that it can be played in Legacy. It won't be, but it's stupid
It's
that it can
stupid.
be.
It's stupid that it's an option.
Yeah. However,
Comet is way more in line to what a planeswalker that could be printed sensibly is. So Comet does a lot of like stuff with dice rolling. So dice rolling is a mechanic that they introduced with unsets, but was later flushed out in the D&D sets that they did.
Sorry, I'm literally
You're reading
reading
Comet
this
for the
card
first
being
time.
like, what is happening?
So Comet is a 4-mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. It's also a dog. 2 a red and a white. It has a single loyalty ability, which is a 0, and instructs you to roll a 6-sided dice. And based on the result, it does a thing. On a 1 or a 2, it gets... I've got a really blurry image, so it might be better
Okay,
for you to
so
read
1
this
or
out.
2, you +2, and then create 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens that gain haste until end of turn. So before we go through all of them, the problem with this one is obviously quick sack outlook, combos, replacement effects for creatures. You have 2 very easy every single turn to do something and sacrifice, and you know, there's a multitude of spells and situations in Magic that this can be handy.
Yeah, and even if what Comet did was like just made those squirrels, that's good
Pretty
enough as a planeswalker in Legacy. Like all Minsc and Boo does, is make a 1/1 every turn essentially.
Yeah.
And it pumps it to a 4/4, but it makes a 1/1 every turn, and making 2 1/1s is also very good. The +2 is giving it 2 more loyalty.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts on 5 as well, so it's fairly high.
Yeah.
3 minus is 1 loyalty, and you get to then return a card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. That's crazy good.
Which is insanely good. Is it permanent or non-permanent?
Any card with mana value 2 or less.
Any card with mana value 2 or less.
Return a card with mana value 2 or less.
In Legacy, that's every card in your deck.
Pretty
It's
much.
fetch lands, it's ponders, it's brainstorms, it's Wrenn and 6, like it's everything. No, it's not Wrenn and 6, is it? Because that's banned.
Yeah, thankfully.
Cool. Not Wrenn and 6.
Not Ragavan as well.
Not Ragavan. It's basically not Murktide region is what you're returning.
Yeah. 4 or 5. Comet Stellar Pup deals damage equal to the number of loyalty counters on him to a creature or player, then -2. So crucially, if you get this on the first roll, you are dealing 5.
5 damage to a creature
anything,
or player.
Or a player. 5 damage is a lot in Legacy.
It is huge.
And the fact that it gets around, like, if you can't, for whatever reason, counter there's I guess some cards that are like, against, is Spell Pierce instant or sorcery? It is, right, not non-creature.
Spell Pierce is a non-creature spell.
So in that situation, you're holding up a Spell Pierce to preserve yourself from a lightning bolt. The opponent resolves a comet. Uncounterable 5 damage at your face.
Well, Spell Pierce can get Comet.
Oh, can it?
Spell
So
Pierce
it's
is non-creature spell.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So it is non-creature. So any counter spell that isn't though, like Force of Negation, say. No, Force of Negation.
Force of Negation is non-creature as well. Most things counter Comet,
Okay.
but it's the case of like the decks that are playing Comet have counter spells.
Yeah.
To back it up.
Yeah.
Like this would replace like the finishers that we'd see in other Legacy decks. Like you main board this, and then you have like Monastery Mentor on the sideboard if you need it, and that kind of thing.
To be fair though, I guess you are relying on striking a 1 in 3 chance, but still.
You are, but none of the options are bad, and we're going to get to the 6.
Yeah, so 6 is a +1 loyalty, and you may activate Comet Stellar Pup's loyalty ability 2 more times this turn. So it's not 1 more time, it's not 2 total, it is 2 additional times.
2 additional times.
So in theory, if you
roll like a champion, you make infinite squirrels.
Or if you want to
and
get
kill your
creative and use your own dice, then you could, in theory...
Sure.
Yeah, obviously not encouraging that behaviour.
No, don't do that.
But it's stupid. The card, I don't understand why it's legal. And again, though, Commander probably okay.
Commander absolutely fine. I like Comet. I think Comet is sensibly power leveled for constructed Magic, 1v1 Magic. but I think it's sensibly power level for construction 1v1 Magic, but I do hold the stance that it shouldn't, like the Infinity shouldn't be legal in Legacy.
I think if it was 1 more mana, I'd agree. I think 4's too cheap.
Sure, I think that's reasonable, but like Minsk and Blue costs 5, right? What
Yeah.
does it cost 4?
I'm pretty sure Minx.
I think they cost 5. But
we,
yeah,
we won't look it up. We'll just be wrong, all right?
Yeah, fine. Let us know.
Yeah. Are we stupid?
Yeah. But yeah, like 4 mana for like most people have this perception of Legacy that's like, oh, it can't be playable because it's 4 mana, which probably was true a couple of years ago. But I think the best decks in Legacy, much like every other Magic format, are 4-color Urian decks.
Yep. Well,
Or maybe not Urian decks, but
Delver.
4-color good stuff decks.
Delver.
Or Delver.
Oh no, it is a 4 mana.
It is 4, okay. But the point is they're slow,
Yeah.
right? Slower than most people's perception of Legacy. Like, you're not going to get stormed out on turn 2 every game, or turn 1, or turn 0.
No, like I think that is the thing. Like, to throw a Team Templar member under the bus. I know he memes a bit about it, but Todd always says that Legacy is decided on the first turn when you look at your hand, and you may as well just like resolve the game there. Like, you've got this, I've got this. Cool, you win.
Yeah, I think that's
that can
true
happen,
to a certain extent.
but it's also
like, whenever I'm playing Legacy, I play Dredge. That's exactly what happens.
okay, Dredge, yeah. But in actually, you know what? Legacy's meta is quite healthy right now. So the last 30 days, Delver's only 15%. I thought it was higher than that.
All right.
Actually, we're completely wrong on the take of the meta. At least online, there are no 4-color mid-range decks there.
Oh, really?
So is it Delver? I'm not taking into percentages here, but just the top few. Is it Delver? Okay, let's talk percentages because then it gives context. 15% or so Is it Delver. 7.5% or so Selesnya Depths combo. So
yeah, Depths combo, which
7%,
is also fairly slow.
Yeah. 7% Reanimator, which is pretty fucking quick.
That's quick.
7% is it Elves.
Hey,
Yeah.
my boys.
Almost 6.9%, unfortunately, not quite. 5% or so Mono Red Prison, 5% or so Painter, and then 4 is where we get to 5-color Blue Zenith, and then Death and Taxes, Lands, Death Shadow, 8 cast, Oops All Spells, Sneak and Show, Doomsday, and Burn. That is the top
That's
15 decks in the last 30 days, according to MTG Goldfish Tabletop.
Okay. But with that being said, not many of those are blitzy, kill you really fast aggro combo decks. Like, there's Reanimator, there's Oops All Spells, but a lot of those don't really want you dead until turn 4, 5-ish.
Yeah, true. So maybe it brings... Okay, maybe it's healthy for Legacy then.
Yeah, I think that's probably a healthy format for Legacy.
Oh, no, I mean the card.
Oh, the card.
Like, none of those... I mean, Reanimator's not going to play it. Depths...
None of those top decks are
No.
going to play it. The only one that plays it is the 4-color mid-range thing.
Yeah. And I guess...
Which, to be fair, actually, the 4-color mid-range thing might be a lot more playable in Arena because dual lands are a lot... not on Modo, because dual lands are a lot cheaper on Modo.
I did misspeak, by the way. It was just prices for tabletop. So this is just every tournament, MTGO and...
Right, okay, sure.
Yeah. Obviously, this is an MTG top 8, which I believe is a little bit more accurate, but it's you know what I mean? It's something for context. But yeah, maybe it's not that bad in Legacy, man. Maybe it will help some decks. But
could do.
I still don't like the idea of a floating space dog in my Legacy games.
Not mine.
Yeah, it's just... it's weird to me. And I actually want to... We'll come back to Infinity momentarily, but I want to jump onto Universes Beyond here, because this is another issue I have. I think Universes Beyond is great for Commander, like we're saying with unsets.
Absolutely.
But the idea of... Is Warhammer Eternal legal?
Yep. Everything's Eternal legal.
Yeah, that just... I don't like it. And as well, like for me... Lord of the Rings will be legal in Modern.
Lord of the Rings will be legal in Modern.
I absolutely despise that decision.
I hate that.
Yeah, because I have no problem with it. I don't mind rocking up to Commander and playing against Gandalf or Frodo or Gollum or whoever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be playing at F&M where I'm there to beat my opponent, have a good time, play some Magic, enjoy the game with my opponent, but still try and win, have a serious game. that is effectively, I know it's a children's card game, but so for context here, Friday nights at Athena Games, because that is my experience of where I play Paper Magic typically. There's a Pokemon tournament going on at the same time, which age ranges probably from 8 to 35, 40.
Yeah,
somewhere around
that's
there.
about right, yeah.
However, Magic is typically like 1920 to 35, 40.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's pretty. There's some
There are
over and
outliers,
under,
but
but it's primarily adults. There are very rarely children there, and I don't want to sit down and play. In my eyes, kind of a more mature card game with cards from like 1993 and all these beautiful vintage-looking cards, and then just have like.
I don't want my opponent to cheer up the One Ring with their Stoneforge Mystic.
Stupid. Yeah. Or equally, if I was playing Legacy, I wouldn't want a floating space dog. Like, I know I meme like about some card. Like I mean, it's that... the whole fish thing, right? But I don't want to be playing like goldfish. Like,
for sure. Like, but it's the same thing, isn't it? It's just like I'll tap my Volcanic Island and my Tiger. Like these are my I spent 300 quid on each of these lands, and I'm going to play this floaty space dog.
Yeah, like, but it's not even the cost of the cards, right? For me, it's just the design of the cards.
Oh, sure.
That's why for me, I'm a step further in this whole art decision. In that I don't like how much they've pumped out full art cards. Not just because it devalues like full art cards being special in terms of land. Sorry, I should have specified there.
Sure.
But I absolutely detested the lands from Pharos Beyond Death. Because they looked cartoonish, they looked like Pokemon energy. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your jam, then fair play. I think that's what Secret Lair is for. Like, weird art is for, like, outlying sets where you can go out of your way to get it. But I don't like that hyper-cartoony art. Like, so when I first started playing Magic, 2019, is that when Core Set 20 came out?
Yeah.
I thought Throne of Eldraine handled the alt art treatment perfectly in keeping with the theme of Magic. Fairy tales,
the storybook stuff,
right? Storybook, that all works. But I think as we've gotten more and more into current time, even the standard sets, the art styles are getting more and more oddball from Magic cards.
Yeah, I can see that.
Really don't. It's so jarring to sit down. Like, I know I've kind of failed my own argument here because Lord of the Rings does fit the theme, but it's just that whole, that's not in this universe, that's weird, why is it in a 1v1 game?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings doesn't fit the theme. And they've also gone one step beyond with the 40k thing, and they have a different border as well, the 40k cards.
Okay. I know what the cards, some of them do, but I haven't even looked at the images.
The cards, from what I've seen, from what I remember, the cards have a different border to normal Magic cards, so they will stand out on a table.
Yeah.
And if they do the same with the Lord of the Rings stuff, they'll stand out as well. I hope they don't, but they might.
Yeah, in some ways maybe I hope they do though, because at least it makes it even more obvious. Because you know what I mean, there's that like... It's like the unset cards being silver bordered, it was an easy differentiator. Whereas now it's very much like you kind of can't tell.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know, I really don't like it. Lord of the Rings in Modern is the one that really, I don't understand the thought behind it, because how do you reprint those cards? Like, unless you just do. You know, how Secret Lairs have worked is you take a normal Magic card, you put a skin on it, like the Godzilla cards, for example, and you just have the real card name underneath.
Yeah.
I think Ikoria did that with a lot of stuff.
Ikoria, yeah.
But if we're reprinting the Lord of the Rings cards, we're doing it the opposite way. So we're having like Magic name with "This is Gandalf the Wise" or whatever below,
Sure. Yeah,
and that's just like, huh? Because you can't do it the same way that they did with Stranger Things or Walking Dead, because these cards would have to be reprinted in like Modern Horizons 3 to keep them playable in Modern. So it's a weird one for me. I think Universes Beyond in general, I think creates so many problems with reprints that I don't know how they're going to solve them in general.
No.
Which is why, you know, Scumbag over here has bought the Warhammer decks, because I think they'll go up in value.
They will.
I'll be playing them, but I'm not going to leave them sealed. But equally, I'm more than happy to sell singles. You know, like
for sure. Well, I mean, God's done the same thing, hasn't he?
Yeah, Yeah, I think it's a smart move.
It's a sensible thing to do because they will appreciate over time, and there's very little reprintability to them, which I think will also be there for the Lord of the Rings stuff. It'll be opened more because it's a draftable booster set, but the cards that are good, because there will be cards that are good. There'll be cards that break the format because that's how Magic design works. Like there'll be like Solitude power level, Ragavan power level cards in those sets.
Yeah.
They will just keep going up because like we saw it with Ren and 6, right? So Ren and 6 was reprinted in Modern Horizons, so the value went down a bit. Ragavan and Solitude, I hope, will be reprinted in Modern Horizons 3.
No, they won't. No, I bet actually I'm going to say it on camera.
Yeah.
They'll be reprinted in Double Masters 2024.
Right, Double Masters or whatever.
Because they'll delay it another year so that people get crippled that extra little bit and really want the reprints.
The point is, they can reprint them into a Magic set because they look like Magic cards and they function like Magic cards.
Yeah.
They can't do the same with the Lord of the Rings cards.
And equally as well, they could have reprinted Ragavan in Baldur's Gate, right? Because that's an eternal format. And Ragavan is legal in Commander, and because it had already been printed, it would be legal in Modern, right? So there's no problem there. But a Warhammer, like a Necron in Baldur's Gate D&D set, doesn't really work. Whereas Ragavan, Monkey Pirate, well, you can probably make it work.
Yeah,
maybe not in Baldur's Gate, but still, you get what I mean.
There's a little bit of a problem with the legendary creatures because they are technically from a world. Like Ragavan is from Kaladesh.
Yeah, but
so like, no.
Yeah. I know, but Commander Legends is like... I get they themed the second one, but the first one they didn't, so...
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, anyway, back to Infinity. The other mechanic we haven't discussed yet is stickers.
Stickers!
So I knew there was a bit of an outrage with stickers, just generally community reaction. I didn't look into it. So before we started, me and Alex did a little bit of research as to why stickers might be so bad.
Trying to figure out what the hell they do.
So we found out that effectively, so to give context, there are cards that tell you to put stickers on cards.
There are cards in Infinity that are not acorned, so they're legal in eternal formats that instruct you to, or you collect tickets and you can put stickers on cards. And some of the tickets give you more powerful stickers to put on cards.
Yes.
So like the power and toughness stickers, they cost tickets.
Yes.
But the stickers that are the problem, the name stickers, don't cost tickets.
So how Wizards have... the articles we read may be wrong, but this is apparently what Wizards have said, is that stickers are to function like mutate, in that they completely remove the name of the card but keep the abilities. So in the instance of Piffing Needle, someone could Piffing Needle my Aether Vial. I could then put a sticker on my Aether Vial and call it Shiny Thing, and it would work.
Yes.
This is
because
silly.
It's no longer called Aether
Vial. Or does it actually? Because does it... So then... the other...
But then Aether Vial says tap Aether Vial, right?
Does it? I
oh no, Aether Vial might not. But
no, I think it says put a charge... Oh, maybe it says put a charge counter on Aether Vial.
At the beginning of your upkeep, put a charge counter on Aether Vial. So the confusion is a lot of Magic cards reference themselves in the text. So like Aether Vial says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a charge counter on Aether Vial. And the one we looked at was Bomat Courier. Whenever Bomat Courier attacks, exile the top card of your library.
And equally as well, it also says you may put a creature card with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial. So you would be able to tap it, but it wouldn't do anything.
So that's the thing that needs clarification, because that's never worked like that, ever.
So this could all be absolute horse shit, and I apologise if it is, but the article we looked at, where was it? Let's go back to that.
So to clarify what we're saying, the sticker replaces the name on the card. So if a card references itself in the text box, it won't do what it says because it's no longer named the right thing. So like because Aether Vial references the number of counters on Aether Vial, you don't have an Aether Vial, you have a shiny thing.
Yes.
So you can't put a creature into play.
Okay, so this is from Matt Tabak, who works at WotC, tweeted that a permanent underpithing needle that changes names, be it from mutate, a copy effect, or a name sticker, will no longer be affected by the PN, pithing needle.
Pithing needle.
So
that works because pithing needle names a card and the card name has changed. What's the other thing with the Bomat Courier?
So, if you are using a naming sticker to change Bomat Carrier's name to something else, its abilities stop working because the creature attacking is no longer a Bomat Courier. Because it cares about the specific creature attacking. Unless, so this article is a little old, but the only way they could get around that, I guess, is clarifying that changing the name changes the card text too. But this is like from August, right? So this isn't
Sure.
that old.
But in the past, what's happened is that it doesn't matter what the... I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but it doesn't matter what the card's called, it still does the thing. So whenever a card references anything, it says this card. That's a good example. Clones. Like Sakashima keeps the name, right? But if you clone something with Sakashima that says, like if you cloned Master of Cruelties with Sakashima, it's called Sakashima, but it still does what Master of Cruelties does. Because it doesn't, the name on the card doesn't matter. It just basically means this card. So if they've changed how that works, that's really stupid.
There doesn't seem to be that much. I mean, okay. Yeah.
We'll wait for clarification on that. We'll wait for the release notes for Infinity if there are any, because that should hopefully clarify that.
It seems to, so it could be that is just people theory crafting, but sure. I would be very surprised. So the article was from MTG Rocks, right? I would be surprised if like a fairly credible website on Magic content references WotC staff clarifying a rule and then
gets it wrong,
hoodoos it a little bit to then make it even worse.
Yeah.
Unless it's just to get clicks, but who would do that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's regardless of whether it is like that or not, I still think it's really silly.
Yeah, the stickers being Eternal format playable is ridiculous.
Okay in Commander though?
Okay in Commander? Maybe,
yeah.
It's still a bit weird.
It is a bit weird. I'm glad you can't put it on opponents' things, because that would really annoy me. It'd be really funny though, like if someone has like a 4-figure card and you're just like, sticker that.
Let me put this sticker on.
Yeah. But I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of Infinity Universes Beyond. We'll have to see. But,
yeah, we'll wait and see.
But I'm not hopeful.
No. No, I'm expecting there to be lots of bad vibes when Infinity comes out. I'd expect there to be lots of pushback on the 40k cards being played in Eternal formats and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me want to play into it a little bit. So like there's certain cards that are modern legal that have been reprinted in the 40k sets. Kind of makes me want to go get those versions to tilt people, like Hardened Scales. Hardened Scales is in the Tyranid deck. If I had the 40k version, it'd tilt some people a bit.
Yeah. That's
play into it.
Does it say, is it still Hardened Scales?
It's still called Hardened Scales.
Yeah. It's odd. Very odd. Very weird decisions they're doing. Speaking of like reprints as well, I remember someone telling me like Shocklands are going to go down because they're being printed in Infinity, and it's just like, one per case.
Is that the Shocklands?
I'm pretty sure it's one per case. It's very low. It might be one per box. Might be one per box.
I thought they were going to be way more common than that. Okay, never mind. The Shocklands are very, very nice though.
They are.
Because the lands are going to be one per pack. Because that's how lands work for unstable sets. The basics.
Okay, so they're foil box topper borderless Shocklands. So you get one each. Draft and collector's booster comes with a box topper filled with one traditional foil Shockland. That's cool.
However, traditional foil Shockland.
Not like etched or textured, but full art.
Still full art, sure.
Then there's also an opportunity to open a traditional foil and galaxy foil Shockland in Unfinity Collector's boosters.
It's a galaxy foil Shockland.
So for draft boosters, roughly 1 out of every 24 boosters contains a borderless Shockland. Whereas in collector boosters, there are 2 slots where a basic land appears. For each of those slots, there is 1 of 24 for a Shockland. So even collector's boosters, you are not guaranteed 1 per box. You could get 2, but you're not guaranteed 1.
That's low.
That's really low. So yeah, 1 per draft box. I assume borderless non-foil, and then 1 borderless foil per box.
Yeah.
And then they also have galaxy foils.
Which are extra spangly.
Only found in collector's boosters, of course. And you can
Sell them
get a
for
lot of
money.
Yeah. So yeah, mad stuff. But anyway,
sell those.
yeah, sell them to me for cheap.
Yeah.
No, I'm
None of
actually
them are
really
playable in Murfolk, though, right? No, you don't play any Sharks in Murfolk. So.
I'm 50-50 on the Shocklands though. I think so. Quickly looking at the artwork, actually, where are they?
I like all of them fit the Magic vibe except for Evergreen Tomb for me.
So Sacred Foundry
Sacred Foundry has
and
a spaceship in
Godless-
it. Never mind.
and Godless Shrine are absolute must-buys for me because I think they look gorgeous.
Yeah.
However, the others are all a bit meh, and I don't really like Stomping Ground or Steam Vents because they're cartoony, and I don't like that.
What's Stomping Ground?
The comets coming out of the sky. That
Oh
one.
yeah, and the Steam Vents.
Yeah.
I agree though that the Godless Shrine is amazing.
Yes.
I really like the Temple Garden as well. The Temple Garden looks really nice.
Yeah. Sacred Foundry, if it didn't have the spaceship, would be like 10 out of 10 for me. But it's like 9.5 out of 10.
Because it's
of
got
the
a spaceship in it.
But I love the like planet exploding, moon exploding, whatever it is. That's super cool. But yeah, on to events.
Yeah.
So we obviously attended Axiom Now's fantastic mega weekend. Had a very good
We did.
weekend for Team Templar. Lots of
It's a really good weekend.
packs. Yeah, lots of packs, lots of prizes. Ticket to Sophia acquired for James Gurney.
Yeah, locked in.
One ticket available for Sophia for the whole weekend, and he has walked away with it. So
Yeah.
we're very happy there. I think it was an all Templar final in Pioneer.
It was three Templar in the top 4 as well.
Yeah. I think, is this the first podcast since? It is, right?
Yeah, I think it is actually. Oh no,
Yeah.
it was 2 Templar in the top 4 because the other one was Jamie. 3 Norwich guys from top 4.
Yeah, three Norwich guys in the top 4. 4 Norwich people in the top 8. 3 Templar. You and James battled in the top 8.
We did. I made him play it out.
And then the Mega Modern as well. James got top 4 there.
Yep.
And I think Todd came third.
Todd
in
came
the side
third
event.
in the rebound. Yeah, he
Third
went 4
or
and
fourth,
1. Yeah.
something like that. Top 4.
I think he went 4-1.
And I think a lot of people just won like half boxes, good prize stacks in general.
Yeah, like Rocco got some good stuff.
Yeah, I think Michael definitely won some boosters as well.
Michael won some boosters as well. Yeah.
So yeah, just in general, really, really good weekend for Norwich locals and Team Templar in general. So yeah, super great organisation. The judge team, absolute 10 out of 10.
They were amazing. Yeah.
I am so apologetic because I meant to write it down. I can't remember the name of the head judge, but I was speaking to them loads and they were an absolute pleasure to deal with. The way it was run, it was just amazing. Like in general, the only downer for me was in speaking to the head judge, finding out that both themselves and a lot of the judge team were based in Wales. So we can't use them for any upcoming events. But it was really, really, really good. Hats off to everyone involved in the organisation. But it's obviously brought back the conversation of larger events. That's the first bigger one since the pandemic.
And Francois mentioned it a couple of times over the weekend as well.
He did, and they're doing an even bigger one.
They are doing
in a few weeks. The Giga Modern and Giga Pioneer.
Weekend.
Yes, Giga Weekend. It's called The Gathering. I think it's like 800 people per day, right? 400 person event, and then 200 people Commander, 200 people Legacy each day, plus other events. So I guess it's maybe 1,000 capacity.
It's huge. They've got is it like a cricket stadium or something?
Yep, cricket stadium, Edgbaston,
Birmingham.
In Birmingham. Team Templar will be there. If you see us, yell. Alex, I don't think you'll be
Not
there.
me, no.
No, but a lot of us will be there. We've booked up our accommodation already, so I'll be filming all weekend. I won't be playing. I don't think. I might be playing the modern. I've really got the itch to play the modern, but I shouldn't play the modern because I would rather film. But really, it's kind of our GP's going to return. Is this a good replacement for GP? And how does it compare? Because obviously you've been to GPs, I never have. My magic has been pandemic, so no GPs were on.
Sure.
I had tickets to GP London. Didn't happen.
Sure.
But yeah, how Mega Weekend specifically, and then what you expect from Giga Weekend, assuming it's around 2.5 times bigger,
Sure.
2 to 3 times bigger. How does that compare to a GP?
I still think it's smaller.
Okay.
So for size reference, GP London had 2 halls of the London Excel Centre,
Okay.
which is enormous.
Yeah.
It had like roughly, I'd say probably maybe not a quarter of the room, but similar to that was vendors. Had a lot of different vendors, and then like on-demand side events for basically every format. And then obviously you've got the main event, which is a 2-day event.
That is one. This is absolutely no shade at Axion at all, because I think it's fantastic. But I guess that does potentially present one of the issues with store-based large event organisation is the flexibility of working with unlimited vendors, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with a GP, you can bring in 20 competing stores to sell singles against each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think, I personally don't care about, what that does to the cost. I wouldn't want vendors to be fighting over each other to undercut. That's stupid. But more selection.
Yeah.
A lot more inventory, a lot more cards you can buy on the day. One thing that I wanted to walk away from the Mega Weekend with was 4 Cavern of Souls. I needed a second 4 one. I'm foiling my Merfolk deck. I'm stupid. A lot of the new lists are playing 4. I don't want to buy another 2. Okay. But I assumed it was something they might have, because they often bring a few like dual lands, like that kind of stuff. They didn't have one. Whereas if 5-6 vendors, you could probably pick up a 4 Cavern of Souls.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's something that is a bit of a shame, but in terms of the actual organisation and how they run, how does that compare? Because I've heard some pretty bad horror stories from pricing and because when so GPs were kind of a monopoly for context, right? They were all organised by Channel Fireball.
Yeah. So when my first GP was actually a Star City Games GP.
Oh, okay.
I think that was in London. It was really, really good. I had an amazing time. I think it's a shame that SCG didn't get to do more of them, because the SCG one was probably the best GP I went to.
Okay.
But to be fair, it's a very different time.
Yeah.
Magic's gotten a lot more expensive. Everything's gotten a lot more expensive. So it makes sense that they're not able to do what they used to be able to do. But yeah, there's a whole thing about when Channel Fireball had the monopoly, because they got the exclusive rights to GPs.
Yep.
They basically, we don't need to explain how a monopoly works. But
and then just...
Yeah, I don't need to explain how a monopoly works. No competition, no need to undercut, so you can charge what you want. So they did. They didn't need to be as generous with like the ticks you get for side events and how that converts to prize wall stuff and that kind of thing. I did a GP where my last GP I went to, I think I actually exclusively played side events. Me and Rocco both did. We had an amazing weekend. Basically every side event's got us a box.
Nice.
I think, or like we did side event and a half, got us enough ticks for a box.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But that's not feasible anymore. I think you need like 2.5 side events. Gets you enough for a box if you go, like, if you have a positive record like 3-1 or 4-0. Like
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a shame that that's happened, because it does make the weekend more expensive. Because my aim for the one that I went to was to roughly come out net zero on the weekend, which I think I did. So yeah, it's a shame that's not a possibility anymore. But at the same time, everything's got more expensive, and it's not actually the worst thing in the world if there's a cost. For sure. To your weekend.
I mean, I think I think I don't know. I'm unsure if GPs will ever come back, and if they do, if Axiom have the backing to do so, I would love a company like Axiom to be able to take it on.
Yeah.
As with, off GPs, in terms of the WPN qualifiers, have obviously been taken over by a company called Legacy, who have divided it between other companies.
Yep.
Legacy haven't been very great to work with, even from obviously yourself working at a game store, to also just everyone I've spoken to that has been to a Legacy event specifically, not the ones run by other stores, but an actual Legacy event.
Actual Legacy one.
As an example, I believe, I could be wrong, but last I checked, their last-ditch qualifier before the actual event is €100, and they have given out no pricing information at all.
Yep.
So you would have to fly to Bulgaria, spend €100 on a ticket, and the prize is maybe a booster pack.
Or
probably not.
Or nothing.
Or nothing, yeah.
It might just be nothing. It might be like you've signed into the last chance qualifier, even if they make it like a mega qualifier or whatever.
Yeah, I think there are 4 spots.
A super qualifier with the top 4 get tickets, like then you have to stay in Bulgaria.
Yep.
Right. Like you can't plan that.
Yeah. It's I think they're learning, and hopefully they'll continue to. Right?
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve in that.
But equally as well, as far as I know, I don't know how much I can talk about this. Yeah, I probably can't talk about this. I don't think they've been very communicative with stores, is what I'll say. Because one example with the recent WPN qualifiers for Sophia that we did coverage of at Athena, I found out from Ultimate Guard that Ultimate Guard was sponsoring the Legacy events before Athena found out that Ultimate Guard was sponsoring the Legacy events.
Right.
And that seems stupid.
That does seem a bit daft.
Because I was in contact with a guy at Ultimate Guard and inquiring about sponsorship and coverage for the event.
Yeah.
And they just replied saying, the stores may not know yet, but we have already sponsored this event several weeks ago. If you could let the stores know, and hopefully Legacy will also confirm it soon. It was pretty much the wording, right?
Wow.
Like,
okay.
It was a little like, how does this happen?
Yeah. It is strange that Wizards gave exclusivity over these events to one company again.
That doesn't really have a background.
That doesn't have any background in it. Like it would have made a lot more sense if they'd gotten like one of the companies that they're experienced with, like Star City Games or Fireball or any of those. That would have made a lot more sense. But equally, I think it's sort of it's nice to have another viewpoint on how these events could be run. It's good to get someone else or another company to have get some experience with it. And if it's a company that Wizards are helping from like the start of their like
Inception.
Yeah, of these events, it's something that Wizards can be involved with through every step of the.
I mean, one thing that I would say is a big red flag though is Legacy. I believe is an Italian-based company, and the first round of WPN qualifiers, I believe, had over double as many in Italy than any other European country.
Right. Sure.
Which seems, I don't know the split of regional Magic, but I don't think Italy is the central hub of Magic in Europe.
No, for sure. But that does tie in, like Francois was saying in the RCQ that I went to in, not the most recent one.
The one prior.
The one before that. I was saying that like there's like 20-something, 30-something RCQs that were being held in England. Germany had 2.
Yep. Italy, I think, had more than us.
More than us, yeah. But like for there to be 2
in Germany.
Yep.
Like, I don't think there were many in France either.
Something's gone wrong there, right?
I think, was there only 1 in Denmark as well?
I don't know about Denmark.
You know what I mean?
It's very low in Denmark as well. Actually.
We are just spouting shit with these figures, but it was pretty low in a lot of places.
I distinctly remember Francois saying that Germany had 2.
Yes, yeah, and that is egregious.
Which seems wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think Europe definitely had. I think Europe had more qualifiers than, obviously we're qualifying for a different tournament.
Yeah.
But Europe had more qualifiers than any of the other like continents of people that had qualifiers.
But I suppose actually maybe, even though we're criticising Legacy, we're not going to go into it. We could have used it as a topic for today, but seeing everything around Magic 30, maybe it's best Wizards did hand it off to a different company. Because that's
a yikes.
Just really briefly, did you see the cosplay price?
Yeah.
$200 gift card. For a weekend that's probably going to cost you at least $1,000, and then a costume that's going to cost you at least another $1,000 or $2,000.
It's mad, isn't it? Like comparing that to the prizes there was a tweet comparing it to prices for something else. I think it was like Comic-Con or something similar.
So
other conventions.
Esports, as an example, prizing in League of Legends is particularly bad, like for the players. But I believe even that they had like a first prize of a few $1,000s for the cosplayers, and they had specific event. They hired a hotel suite for the cosplayers to like get ready near the event. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
They're very accommodating, and I think that's really important.
That's a surprise from Riot, actually.
Yeah, they do things right sometimes.
Very occasionally.
Yeah, but I guess we'll round up on the events. I guess. Does GPs coming back matter if Axion keeps scaling up? To us in the UK, probably not.
Probably not, no. I mean, people will still go to GPs because they're not called GPs, are they? People will go to Magic Fest.
Magic Fest, yeah.
Or whatever the stupid name they choose to call them next. But people will go to them because there's backing behind it. Like whether that be officially Wizards supported ones, whether that be what Axion ends up doing, even if bloody Legacy start hosting them, which is probably the line that's most likely. People will still travel to those because they have a reputation now of being what they are. It'll take a while for Francois to get to that sort of level, but
they're giving it a damn good go.
They are giving it a very, very good go, and you won't find people that have anything bad to say about Francois.
Yep. 100%.
Anywhere in the UK, most stores in the UK will know, if not Francois, then Axion.
And Liz and Nick and the whole Axion team.
Yeah, I focus on Francois specifically because he's like the front man.
The only reason I even say it is like so many, because this is my first. No, I have been to one Axion event before, but it was a smaller thing. But obviously everyone remembers Francois, but the team there in general.
Oh yeah.
No credit. Should be missed. They're all
absolutely
unbelievable. They're so good.
Everyone's amazing.
But yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I hope they continue to scale up. I hope that the Giga Weekend is a success, and I would urge people that are maybe on the fence about the pricing to consider the cost of living and the cost of everything and the cost of how much this event puts on.
Well, yeah,
will be to put on.
We know from the back end, pricing an event we were pricing up a 64-player event.
Yeah.
Come to that as well if you're in England.
The Gauntlet, 26th of November.
26th of November. Athena Games, Norwich.
£1,000 top 8 prize pool. Ish. MSRP.
Yeah, we know from planning that stuff's expensive.
Yeah. To fully disclose this, and I'm not going to be shy about this at all. If we exceed 32 players, the prize pool will increase. Our goal for this one is not to make money. Our goal is to break even and provide a good event for the community. However, to be completely clear as well, if we do not exceed 32 players,
we lose money.
We lose money. Yeah, 100%. And you can do some math there on the prize pool and the cost of entry.
Yeah,
to show how expensive. Obviously we're not going to say figures, but my God, Magic product is expensive these days.
Yeah, we spent what must have been hour and a half to an hour, just staring at an Excel sheet, just can we make it any cheaper? What if we cut this? What if we do this? And that is the cheapest that we could have made it at this point.
It's to the point that a lot of the guys who won boxes over the last few events from the Team Templar spoke to me about, I'm sure you don't want to buy boxes because you're doing the event with Athena. Mm-hmm. But if you do, let me know and I'll do you a good deal on the box. But I'm sure if you can do it if you're doing it with Athena, you'll probably pay like half as much. And then the prices they were selling were very close to how much it costs.
Yeah.
I think there's a perception, maybe there isn't, maybe it's my naivety, but I feel there's a perception that game stores are getting like rich off this, that like Magic is very expensive. The company that is getting very wealthy from the cost of Magic going up is Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, there's no 100% markup on Wizards product at all.
Yes, like, it's nowhere near.
We're not. we're not buying boxes for 40 quid and selling them for 110. Like it's not. It's not the reality of the situation.
Because honestly, that was my perception coming into Magic.
Yeah.
Because I was like, surely cardboard can't cost that much. There has to be like, Wizards need to make their money, distributor needs to make their money, the game store needs to make their money, but like, it's really not as. It's bad. Like, it's very bad.
It's bad.
And as far as I know, the distributors are kind of getting bent over as well.
Yeah, I think everyone below Wizards of the Coast is, I think.
Yeah. So we'll leave it on that depressing note.
Yeah. Card games.
Don't support. This is the problem. Support your local game store, but by doing that, you're supporting Wizards. So
go to events.
Go to events, and buy stuff at game stores as well. Like if you can, always support your local game store. If you can't support your local game store because they don't have anything, go to athena.games.com/Templar. I think that's the link. It might not be. It'll be in the description. You can buy things there shipped to the UK. But more importantly, come to our event, the Gauntlet, in a few months, November 26th on a Saturday. It'll be modern format, 64 player cap, £1,000 or so into the top 8 as it stands, which will increase depending on entrance, and there's a side event as well. If you got knocked out early, there's a rebound for 12 quid, I think it is. Something like that.
Yeah, and if you don't want to come, or you're too far away or anything like that, you can always tune in and watch the coverage. That'd be myself and Ed, right?
That? Live all weekend.
Absolutely.
All weekend, all day. It's only a one-day event.
But yeah, we're gonna be trialing out this live all day thing. Trying not to cut to any.
Yeah, we'll be testing. So not to plug too many things. There's a store championship at Athena as well on 15th of October. That will be live on Twitch again all day, and we will be using a new system which will have a backup table. We may not actually use it that much on that one because I'll also be getting interviews mid-rounds, but we'll be testing proof of concept so that we'll be able to cut from the feature match to feature match 2, so there won't be any downtime. Hopefully we'll see you there. If we don't, hopefully we'll see you in chat on either of the events, and hopefully we'll see you in person at the gathering as well. Well, you won't, but
no, I won't.
I'll be there. Yeah. Probably in a Nicolas Cage t-shirt. So
yeah, you'll see Steve.
Yell at me. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this week's. Fuck me, not weeks. We can't do this every week.
My God.
This month's episode of Templar Talks. It is worth announcing though, we are going to be upping the frequency of Templar Talks. So as well as the monthly episode with myself and Alex, we are going to be doing a fortnightly. So it will also be monthly, but there will be an episode every fortnight. You know what I mean? Hopefully you do.
Yeah.
Where I will be doing a podcast episode, interviewee type thing with just a member of the local community, be it Team Templar member or whoever else may want to come on the podcast. So if you have some cool things to talk about, feel free to get in touch. But midway through October, this episode will air on the 1st of October. Midway through October, there will be an episode where I will be interviewing Team Templar member and Magic the Gathering sex icon, Todd Harron. He'll be breaking down his route to the finals at Axion. It's actually crazy. He's got detail of every round, die rolls, mulligans.
Yeah,
a lot of information that we can go through.
Todd recorded a lot more than me. Like, I was like, I finished my round, ripped off a piece of paper and shoved it in my bag, and I was like, cool, that one's done. Let's go to the next one.
Nice.
I can roughly remember the decks I played, but nah.
Nice. But yeah, we'll see you at the next one. See you and hopefully see you in person at some events.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Necropotence, doomsday, taint the pack till for days get rock, dag more, Ulamaka cars. Ristic study, pay the one, smothering tide, now we're done, feed the fish and pay the four, what a fucking ball.